They want to what's that sound? Scratch all of what? And hearing how badly I thought mine went gives you a bit of confidence, viewers. Yay! We'll check you, Cap. Oh. Hi guys, and welcome back to the first ever part 2 that I'm doing on this channel. Today we'll be picking up where we left in the last UK versus US video and talking about all things supplementary essays and interviews. Like last time, I'm joined by 2 guests. Only one of us really doesn't need to be here. Not again. What? I'm just saying, I don't think it would make any difference to the viewers if I wasn't here. Yeah, it's been like this all week, but UK Tenny will go over it. And now while she cools off, let's start talking about supplementary essays. Now with the UK system, you write your UCAS essay, and for the most part, that's pretty much it. But with the US, you have these things called supplementary essays. These are different from each school and can range from things like list the titles of the required readings from academic courses that you enjoyed most during secondary/high school, 75 words or fewer, to what song represents the soundtrack of your life at this moment, 50 words or fewer. Some have a 200 character limit, others can be up to 250 words. For me though, the one constant was that they were all pretty intimidating. I mean, it's one thing to tell a story in 650 words. It's a completely different thing to do it in like under 100. My strategy was kind of the same, and I asked myself, what do I want the admissions officer to know about me? Yale had 8 supplementary questions, and you don't want all your answers to point to the same thing. For example, all your 8 answers shouldn't point directly to your love for art, because you're more than just your love for art. However, your application should be coherent and each answer shouldn't just be random. For example, one question was like, if you could invite someone to speak at a seminar, who would it be? And in that answer, I kind of referenced my interest in like beauty and aesthetics. And then in a different question, they asked, tell us about your engagement with a topic or idea that excites you. And I also kind of touched upon my interest in aesthetics there. Then I spoke about my family in the talk about community one. I kind of tied that back into my common app. I also mentioned exercising in my answer about community, and also my answer about a new year course. So all my answers kind of like fed into and tied into each other. Each answer was unique but not solitary. All the answers were different. They weren't just repetitive, but there were themes and undercurrents that like ran through all of them, and they all pointed towards me ultimately. Some supplements went through a lot of revision. Some I was pretty happy with on my first or second try. My advice is, you guessed it, be honest, but also don't worry about explaining everything. Like, you literally don't have the words for that. Hone in on exactly what you're trying to communicate, write it as concisely as you can, and then move on. Now, both systems have interviews, and again, these are very different. I had 2 US interviews, and the first one was for Yale. And when they say it's literally just a casual conversation, they mean it. I didn't feel any pressure. There were no like purely academic questions. It was literally just like having a conversation with someone. My school gave us a list of like prep questions, just stuff like you have nothing to do on a day, what's your like go-to activity, or obviously the very common why this school. And so that kind of helped me get in the right headspace. But the questions were really tailored to me, and they kind of just flowed as the conversation went on. So the interviewer is usually just an alumnus of the school. They're not like a trained interviewer or anything. They're just trying to see whether from their impression of you and their knowledge of the school, you would have a good experience there. And I'm not actually sure. I don't think the interview has the power to make or break your application, but don't quote me on that. Now, my interviewer had experience with the IB and was also interested in literature, so we were pretty well matched. Spent a lot of time just recommending each other books. I tried my best to answer her questions honestly, and in hindsight, I do think I could have been a bit more open. I was afraid of being a bit too honest, but it went fine in the end. And after, she asked if I had any questions, which I did, because the interview is truly an opportunity for you to see if the school is a good match for you, as much as it is for the school to see if you're a good match for them. So I asked her some questions, and her answers really solidified that yes, Yale was the place I wanted to be. Now, my Duke interview. So my interview for Duke was a postgraduate economics major. She did something about economics, and so we didn't have a law in common right off the bat. But the reason I think my Duke interview didn't go as well as it could have is because I didn't know as much as the school as I probably should have, and that showed in my answers, or rather my non-answers. So my advice is like pretty obviously, do your research about the school, and that shouldn't be a big ask if it's somewhere you're really interested in spending the next 4 years. Now, UK interview time. In a way, this really did feel like preparing for an exam, and like I mentioned in the last video, I didn't have much latent architectural knowledge. Okay, basically for Cambridge, you fill a form with the books you've read in class and topics you've done, so they know what they can ask you in the interview. And for my architecture interview, I actually had a practice one, which showed me how little I knew in the subject. But even from that one interview, I learned a lot, and it actually made me a bit more confident. I did my own research. I had a second practice interview, which I felt went exponentially better. And then I actually kind of felt ready to go. Or something, I don't know. And there was also a drawing task, and typically I would have been drawing a random room in Cambridge, but it was COVID time, so I was just in my room, and I knew I would be drawing my room. So I practiced it like twice, and I sent it to my teacher, and I tried to pick an angle of my room that allowed me to show like some depth and perspective. But honestly, I can't comment on how it went because I really didn't even know what they were looking for. You know, I drew my room, I sent it in, and that was that. And now for the actual interview. Okay, so the first thing I will say is that I was definitely caught unaware by some of the questions, and I did spectacularly bad in that section. I'll be real with you guys. And then the interviewer asked me a question that was specific to a book I had read, and I answered it correctly but not confidently. And there was another question where they basically had to like lead me towards the answer, so yeah, not great. When we got to the more theoretical questions, I think it went better because I was more comfortable speculating and like, you know, throwing out ideas. But I will just summarize the interview by saying that I'm surprised, I'm pretty proud of myself that I didn't burst into tears at the end. I'm being pretty vague because I don't actually know exactly what I'm allowed to share. But long story short, I thought I had absolutely botched it. Like I was like, there's no way this interview went well. And yet, so I think that just goes to show that you can never really know how an interview went. You don't always know exactly what they're looking for. And I mean, when I do look at it in hindsight, the things I didn't know were things I could learn. And for the more like theoretical things, I was able to kind of like, I guess, hold my own. So it just kind of goes back to try your best and leave the rest. I really don't have any other advice besides just be yourself and do your best. And I just hope that hearing how badly mine went gives you a bit of confidence for yours. We also went through my art portfolio, and that kind of just felt like I was talking at them, but that was fine. And now let's talk about hearing back. If you apply early to a US school, you receive your answer by mid-December. If you're rejected, you still have all your regular decisions applications. If you are deferred, I believe they give you a decision at the regular decision date later in the next year. And if you're accepted, congratulations, you have one in the bag. I believe most regular decisions come out in like April, end of April, and then you have until like May by which you have to decide, and you can only accept one offer, obviously. Now the UK is a bit less structured. Offers start coming in from the end of the year all the way up to spring of the next year, which is why people check UCAS religiously. You have until June to choose your firm and insurance offers, and then you have to reject any other offers that you receive. I know, the whole system is weird to me as well. So how it works is that because the UK offers are conditional, you're going to choose 2 out of however many of the 5 offers you get. One is going to be your firm choice, which is your first choice, and they will typically have higher requirements. So let's say a 42 in the IB. Then you're going to have your second choice, which is your insurance, and that'll have a lower requirement, like let's say 36. And so it's kind of like literally insurance. Like if you miss the offer for your firm, you have your insurance, and then you have to reject all the other offers you get. After your IB or A levels or whatever results come out, you'll see which offers you make. And if you make neither of your offers, one option that you do have is clearing, which is how universities fill all the offers and like courses where other people didn't meet their requirements. So I mean, yeah, the whole process is unnecessarily stressful, but you know, the US offers are, in my understanding, pretty much unconditional unless you like absolutely fail miserably, which you will, so it's okay. And yeah, that's it. That's all there is to the actual application process. I feel like it'd be wrong to end off this mini-series without saying that university applications are not the end of the world. In fact, they are actually the beginning. Regardless of the outcome, you are going to be fine. As we all know, there's no decision that God cannot use for his good, and there are many paths to your destination. Even if things are not going in the way you envisioned, it doesn't mean that you're like never going to get where you want to be. So while it's easier said than done, don't stress, okay? Do your best and leave the rest, and any other cliche you can think of. You'll be great. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye. See? That wasn't so bad. Yeah, whatever. I'm done. I feel like if I don't dance after I finish filming, then did I film? No, I did not. No, I did not film. We're done. You're done. I'm done. Bye. I forgot to say bye. Just taking thumbnails. Ooh. Ooh, oh, yeah. This is. Okay. This is fam, and this is illy, and it's because they're a family. Look how cute. Yeah, okay, I'm going to just put them over there. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.